Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Andy and Kyle Show.
Where we like to tell our embarrassing stories, and then hopefully you can send yours in and we can tell yours as well.
Awesome. So before we get the podcast started, I want to do this. Welcome to the Andy and Kyle ASMR channel. Listen to that sizzle. I just needed that right before we started. Alrighty, so I'm going to tell my story right off the bat. This is the time that me, Kyle, and Eric failed at camping. And I'm going to start this off with, we used to go camping a lot. That used to be our thing for a while, at least for me at least. And me and Kyle went to Colorado Bend State Park alone, and that was a great time. We had fun. Everything was perfect. We walked like 8 miles. We walked 8 miles back. All day thing. We saw a waterfall. We saw a cave. Shit was immaculate. You remember that, Kyle?
Yeah, that was the first time we went camping, though.
That's the first time we went camping.
Okay, yeah.
So I want to start that off that we go camping.
Okay.
Now, this is the time where we went to like Oklahoma.
Mhm.
I think the border of Oklahoma and like Texas, or was it Oklahoma and Arkansas?
I think it was Arkansas.
Oh, so it was
Yeah.
So this was the border of Oklahoma and Arkansas, and it started off great. We went water rafting, or no, we went kayaking with like a little bit of water rafting, right?
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. I think we were trying to knock each other down. We were having fun. It was like maybe like I think 10 a.m. when we started the day.
Yeah. But during that, I got severely sunburned, like on top of my feet and everything.
Yeah, he got severely sunburned. So I guess that was the first like tick in the bad.
Yeah.
Me and Eric were fine because it was just we didn't get sunburned at all.
Yeah, it's because I'm white.
Yeah. And so for us, the day is great. Here's the photo. Because I do have the photo still on my Instagram.
Gosh.
And after that, I think we were trying to knock each other down. It was a lot of fun. But then we started our hike because we were going to camp out. We were going to hike like maybe 4 miles. And so we start hiking. And on the map, we usually don't bring water because we have a little filtration system and bags like that are meant for water storage. So when you're hiking out, you don't want to carry like gallons and gallons of water. We carry enough water to make it to that river, and then we get more water and we refill for the night. And there was 2 points on the map where we were going to pass a river, and I was going to get refill water on the first river, and the second river was a backup river in case the first one had dried up because it was summer and it was really hot, and sometimes that happens, so you can expect that. And so we're hiking, and like it's just really hot. It's so hot to the point where like at one point we stop and we like set up hammocks and we napped for like 4 hours so it would cool off. And then we still had water, and then we started on hiking again after our nap. Well, we didn't know during our nap that there was critters on the trees, but I'll get to that later. And so we keep hiking. We get to the first point where we expect water, like to refill state like water, but the river is all dried up, right?
Yeah, the river was completely dried up.
Completely dried up. And so we're like, okay, we've already gone like more than halfway. Let's go to the second point.
Were we lost at that point?
No, we weren't lost yet.
Okay.
Yeah, we get lost on our way back.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah.
So we continue on. We go to the next part of where the river might be to refill water. And at this point, we should have turned back. We should have just turned back and cut our losses. But no, we keep going. And I think it's starting to get around like maybe 6 or 7 p.m. We've been out all day. We've been camping all day. And we keep going. We get to the next part where there's no water either. And we're thirsty. It's hot. We're tired. And on the map, there's another point like maybe down the line. Like even further, there's a third river. And we're like, there's probably water there. It's just a lot further. We just have to get it. And we're like already pretty far in, right? And so we're like, all right, we might as well keep going. We're already out here this far. It's getting late. We don't want to have to stop. We still have water left, but we don't have like as much water as I thought I would want, you know?
Yeah.
And so we start walking. And we're walking. Who was in front? The order is important. I know Eric was in the back. I just don't know if I was in the front or in the middle.
I know that I was in the front on the way back.
So that means you were. So then I was wrong. You were in the very back. I was in the front, and Eric was in the middle.
Yeah,
that's right. So this is important because we're like literally next to each other, back to back to back, like real close to each other, hiking. We're like exhausted. We're like shoulders are slumped. We're just like trucking through. We start trucking through, and all of a sudden I take a step, and all of a sudden when we take this step, it goes.
That was a good rattle saying.
Thank you. Right?
Yeah.
And we all freeze. None of us move. We don't know where it's coming from. We don't know how close it is. We don't want to move. All we hear is it's still rattling, and it's getting a little more intense. And then I look down, and it's right next to my foot. like right there, and it's getting aggressive. It's like, and we're like frozen. No one's saying a word. No one's saying a thing. We're just frozen in our tracks, without saying a single word, without even like making a motion at each other. At the exact same time, we all just decide to turn around, and we like it's like stop. We all just turn around. We just all start walking back immediately, and not say a word for like a good 5 minutes. And we've at that moment we decided we're going home. We're going home. Not a word was said to any of us, like to each other, but we're like we're done. We're going home.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I remember saying if I drive us back, can we leave right now?
Yeah, so we get
Like,
back. So before we got back to the car, because we were like out there, it was like 8 p.m. when the rattlesnake was like rattling at us. And we're walking back and we got lost. It was nighttime. It was completely pitch black. I couldn't see the map. We couldn't even see like the trail anymore at this point. And like we were planning on staying out there, but we wanted water. We were tired. Kyle was sunburned. We didn't know it at the time, but there was chiggers on me and Eric from us on the nap. Because Kyle, I think you were sitting on a chair or on a stump.
Yeah, I just like slumped up against the tree, but I wasn't on a hammock though.
Yeah, you weren't on a hammock. Me and Eric were on a hammock, and I guess they were, since the hammock was tied to the ropes.
Yeah,
they got on the ropes and went on the hammock. So at this point, Kyle got sunburned. We're tired. There's no water. It's summer. It's hot. And then we get lost. We didn't get back. It was like 8 p.m. when we saw the snake, and it was like almost midnight when we got back to the cars because we were lost for like a good 3 hours. We got back to the car. Me and Eric just were like so exhausted. We were like, F it, we're gonna sleep in the cars. That's it. We're just we didn't even say anything to Kyle because we didn't really talk on the way back. We were just like defeated. We get to the car, me and Eric were both like, no, I'm done. I'm not gonna drive. I'm not driving. I'd rather just sleep in the car. I'm exhausted. So we like me and Eric post up to the like in like the seats and just start going to sleep. And then Kyle goes, I don't want to be here. I want to go home. I will drive us all the way through the night to get home so we don't have to be here anymore. And that's what we did.
Yeah. And then I remember you being like, I just didn't want to be the first one to say anything.
Yeah. I think there was a lot of points along the way where like all of us kind of wanted to go home and none of us wanted to be the first one. And like we've done a lot of camping. So we like, it's not that we're bad at camping. It was just a bad day.
It was a brutal camping trip.
Yeah, like we've done a lot of camping, like, and they've always been fun, and we've been there for like 4 days, like the one we did in Arkansas where we met those strangers.
Yeah, that was great.
That was a great camping trip, and we met some great people there, and we met them. We stayed the night. We went some other hikes, and like we camp out like where we hike for like miles and miles, and we've never failed. But this one, like everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. And it was just funny because at the time I was like just annoyed. I think that's the thing that made you not ever want to go camping again, though.
That was. Yeah, it was definitely experiences like that. I mean, I think it was more of the roughing it because every time we went camping, we always roughed it.
Well, yeah,
we're carrying around like a 40 or 50 pound bag.
That's what you're supposed to go when you're doing.
I went glamping. I found out what the term is. I went glamping.
Yeah, so I go camping and backpacking to where when you go out camping, what you have on your back is what you have for the entire like next 3 days.
Yeah.
I don't like to do that anymore, to be honest. I still want to do it every now and then, but glamping is the way to go now for me. I'm old. My knees be creaking.
That's how I felt at that time because I'm pretty sure I was your age at that time.
No, this was like 6 years ago. No, this was more than 6 years ago. Yeah, because this was way before I met Letty. And me and Letty have almost been together for 6 years.
I was probably 24, 25. Then.
Yeah, you were probably Eric's age.
Like,
yeah, you were Eric's age.
That was still like 5 years ago.
Letty and I have been together for 6 years. I was living at the brother's house.
But we didn't. I'm 4 years older than you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were 19 when we met.
Yeah. This was around when I was 19 and 20.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm about to be 28.
Dang. It's that old age.
Yeah.
I'm getting senile.
But yeah, that was the time we failed at camping and like.
There was one thing I wanted to add in there that I think you forgot about. On the way back, I was in front with the stick and like doing this for hours because I was getting rid of all the spider webs.
Yeah. So he was in the very front on the way back. And he was like getting the spiders out of the way for us. Me and Eric are just like, we don't even care if a spider would just hit in his face. We were just so tired. We were done. Like we didn't care. We were like, fine, bite us.
Yeah, I hate spider webs.
What's it called? But yeah, that was the time we failed. All right, so we're gonna move on to Kyle's next story. Let's see what the
my story. I'm gonna call this just something stupid I did at my school.
And this is the one with the bees, correct?
Yes.
So this podcast is about nature.
Yeah.
This was not planned out.
It's a nature podcast.
Yeah, this is not planned out at all.
Yeah. So I was in 6th grade. I went over to a school called Westlake Academy. And the school was a pretty small school, right? Like, not many people would know about it. And I'd be really honestly surprised if anybody did know about it because my grade, in each grade, there was maybe 40 students. And, but every student,
You live down in the country.
no. Yeah, no. Westlake, do you know where Westlake is?
No,
It's by Southlake. And like, it
never,
was,
never heard of it.
every kid that was there came from a really wealthy family.
You sound like it. I was about to say you sound like a snob.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
Put the camera at me really fast. I'm from West Point Academy. That's what you sound like.
Okay. Well, I mean, my family wasn't wealthy, but we weren't poor. But the way that I found out about it was that I had a friend that went there. His name was Ryan, and his mom actually got a job there, so he was automatically admitted in. And then whenever they told us about it, I actually had to get in through a drawing.
Because
Like-
you're not smart, you're not rich, you don't got nothing going for you.
Yeah, yeah. Like, no, I mean, like, I don't know what it was, but I remember I was 10 years old, and it sounds like exciting. Oh, I got in a drawing, but I remember being like, oh, I get to go to school now.
I get to go to school now.
Oh man, I'm so excited. But anyway,
Were your parents like
oh, they were
teaching you?
like ecstatic, But I mean, I didn't care. I remember specifically thinking like, why is this such a big deal? But anyway, I got to go to the school, whatever, and the way that transportation worked was that I would ride with my mom, and then we would meet Ryan and his mom like at a meetup point, and then I would ride with Ryan and his mom over to the school, and then after she got off work, it was around like 6:30, she would take us back home, and then meet up with my mom, and then I go back home. But we got out of school at 3:30, and so that means there was like a good 3-hour period of time where we could screw
Just
around.
do stupid
Yeah,
stuff.
do stupid stuff, and we were unsupervised. For 6th graders, that's not a good idea. And
Hold on, for West Point Academy
yeah,
students.
for West Point Academy, yeah.
That's a great idea.
It's called Westlake Academy.
Westlake Academy. I'm sorry, I'm not saying it right. My apologies, good sir.
Yeah, so you're already not smart enough to go there. But
I could just buy my way in. No, I'm kidding.
yeah, okay.
I don't have to rely on luck.
Whatever. But we were I one of the days I brought a football with me. Like, it was small football. I had small hands. But
This is when you were short, right?
yeah, it was.
He's also really tall now, so I don't mind
Yeah.
making fun of his height.
yeah.
He's
well,
like taller than me. He's like 6 foot. Ladies? No, wait, no, he's taken.
But we were out in the middle of this field that was in front of the gym, and if you're looking directly at the gym, well, I guess I should say we were out in the field throwing the football, like whatever. But if you look directly at the gym, there are like 5 or 6 pillars that are in front of the gym, and the way the pillars are set up is that it has a concrete block for a base, which I think at the time went up to around my waist, and then if you're looking at the rest of the post, it's wood, but it's like splintered wood,
Mhm, mhm.
which is like, I guess, decoration or whatever, and it looked nice, like rich. It looked rich.
Yeah, of course. It's West Lake
but,
Academy.
but it's not safe.
It's not safe.
No. And so we're throwing the football, and then I see out of the corner of my eye, I see a wasp nest.
Was it like a big wasp nest, a paper nest, a small one, like the little one that every house has?
It was, I'd say it's small, but like big enough to hold like 6 or 7 like wasps.
Oh, so there was like it was a small one then. Like,
Yeah, but if you're looking at the pillar, it was at the very top of the pillar where it met the ceiling, so it had like this little corner there.
yeah,
like
oh
this,
yeah.
and then the wasp nest is like right there. And so I saw that out of the corner of my eye, and then I'm like, see the bees flying around, or like the wasp or whatever, and they're minding their own business. They're not messing with anybody.
I like how you set it up. They're minding their own business.
Yeah,
Probably just
and
got
then-
back from work.
And then in my head, I'm like, I gotta mess that up. And so I had the football, and I'm like, all right. So I started throwing the football at the wasp nest. And after like the 3rd or 4th time, they realized who it was that was screwing with them. And so they flew down to attack me, and I went to run away, and I ran directly into the post that was right behind me. But the thing is that I remember the pain specifically, or I guess distinctly, traveling up my body, because the way that I ran into it, my knee hit the corner of that like concrete
Is that
block.
why your knees are so bad?
Just shut up, man. We're not going to talk about that right now. But I hit the concrete block with my knee, and then the momentum of the rest of my body caused my face to go forward and slap up against the post. And then immediately I hear Ryan behind me burst out laughing. And so I turn around and look at him, and he just stops. And then I start crying because half because of the pain, then half because of his expression. But what I didn't realize at the time was that I had, from that wooden post, I had wood chips sticking in my lip, and I didn't find that out until later. But I remember I hopped over to the grass because I couldn't put weight on my knee, and I was just like, "Go get your mom," or whatever. And I lay down in the grass and I blacked out.
You blacked out? What about the wasp? They saw you were having a bad day already.
Yeah,
Like,
they're just like, "Nah, he's good."
that was instant karma, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
The wasps were ready to like ruin your day, but they were like, karma got him first.
Yeah, they're probably just, that was probably their goal in the first place, was to get me to just.
Man, I can't even imagine. Like, you're how old are you? 10?
It was like 10 or 11.
10, 11. Okay, so you're throwing this wasp. You're throwing a football at a wasp nest. And then, like, immediately you just throw it. You realize they're coming down and you just, bam, ran into it.
Yeah.
Man, today's a day for sound. Like, I'm just macking stuff. ASMR day.
All right. Okay, shut up. But yeah, so I blacked out. I don't know how much time had passed. But to this day, I don't know how, like, it still frustrates the crap out of me because I don't know why, but somehow the entirety of the student body was still at the school. And it was like 4:30, like, go home. Like, why were they still there?
You were still there.
Yeah, but I mean, I had to be there because his mom worked there.
That's fair.
Like, what student wants to stay there after school? Like an hour to an hour and a half after it lets out.
These aren't regular students. These are Westlake Academy.
You know, it's probably because their parents didn't want to deal with them, so they just left them there.
You were there, so what does that say?
Yeah,
Your parents didn't want to deal with you.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I remember opening my eyes and I looked up and I could see all these faces looking down at me through the sunlight. And I looked over, I like rolled my head over and I saw an ambulance there. And there were like paramedics coming out with the stretcher. They loaded me up on the stretcher and put me in the ambulance and took me to the ER. That's whenever I found out how much of a delicate little boy I was, because I had a minor concussion from smacking my head on the the wooden post. They had to take the wood chips out of my lip, and then I also cracked my knee.
This is exactly why your knees are bad. You can't say it. And it's not me trying to be mean. That's how
it started that young.
Yeah. At 10 years, you were destined
But I mean,
to
it was
have
only
bad
one
knees.
knee. It's not like, it transfers to like that knee. It was basically, I was at the ER. The doctor told me that I had a minor concussion. I had the wood chip sticking in my, well, he didn't have to tell me that. I felt it at that point. And then and then I had a cracked knee. I ended up getting on crutches, and I had to kind of hobble through the hallways of the school, and everybody knew about it. And the people that didn't know about it, Ryan was telling everybody about it. So it's not like I had any chance to escape. But luckily, I ended up leaving that school after like my 7th grade year. So I went there for 2 years.
Did you end up leaving or did you get kicked out for doing something dumb again?
I just really feel like I wasn't meant to go to that school, because I do too many stupid things.
Everyone could have known that from the beginning.
If you don't mind, like, I can tell one really small thing, but just to give you an example of what I mean to other stupid things is that Ryan and I were hacky sacking outside of, it was again after school. And then we were hacky sacking outside by this kind of, what are they called? Like a, not a gazebo, like it's like a little thing for the
Awning?
Awning. Yeah, we were like right outside of that, like right up from underneath it. And the hacky sack went up and landed on the roof of that.
Yeah.
And my bright idea, there was like a post going up to that yawning and awning.
Yeah, I was gonna correct you too, but I was like, you know what? I'll just leave it alone.
No, but the awning, and I was just like, hey, what's a great idea? Like, I'm like, you should take off your jacket and then wrap it around the post and then tie it around your back and then like shimmy yourself up.
Like Mulan.
Yeah, like Mulan. I'm pretty sure that's where I got the idea. Well, it doesn't work in real life. He got up like halfway and then the jacket came undone and he like slammed on his back. And his mom was watching us the entire time through the window, and she came out and she's like, "You donkey," or whatever, and she was like calling me names. She was like cussing at me.
Oh, so she was mad at you.
Yeah, because she was like, because she saw that I gave him the idea to do that. And I'm like, but he did it. like, why are you getting mad at me? I don't know. It was hilarious, but it was just stuff like that I did all the time.
You got kicked out, didn't you?
No, like, it was just like I was doing homework from until I got home until midnight or like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, so they provided a lot of homework?
Yeah, it was nonstop. And then my parents took me out because they were like, hey, well, he doesn't really get to be a kid,
That's fair. That's good. That's good.
I was
parenting.
actually helping my sister with her homework, and she was three grades above me. So,
Man, imagine where you would have been by now if you would have stayed there.
yeah. I mean, that was a
You
cool
would have been
thing.
smart.
Man, opportunities missed.
You wouldn't be doing a podcast here.
I'm just get up and walk out.
Your face when I was like, you would have been smart. Yeah. No, that was really funny. I'm glad you told that story. Oh man, what's it called? So now we're gonna move on to our next segments of Reddit stories. Kyle, you want to go with your first story?
Okay, so I'm gonna tell my Reddit story. It's I'll just call it Sandcastle. It says, I don't know if it was more cringeworthy than embarrassing, but thinking back, I definitely grimace. I was in kindergarten and was playing in the sandbox at recess one day with my friend. We were making a sandcastle, but it didn't have any sand that was wet enough to form a solid castle. I had been holding my pee for a while, and being 5 years old, I didn't want to stop playing, so I just let it out. While I was sitting there and promptly let my friend know that, oh, look at all this wet sand I found. We could build a great sandcastle. And he never told his friend about it. They just built a really good sandcastle, and his friend was none the wiser. And then at the very end, he says, "Sorry, Matthew." So I wonder if Matthew is ever going to read this.
What's it called? Matthew's probably, if Matthew ever like
He's
finds
just
it on
like-
Reddit, it's like, I wonder how old do you think they are now?
I don't know. Oh, it says actually it was 4 years ago. So
Wait, what?
4 years ago when he made the post.
Oh, okay. I was,
Yeah.
I was like, so
He's like 5
10
years old. He's
He's
like
9 on Reddit. No, how would you react if like me and you were friends since like we were 5 years old and I peed, and then like now like 20 years later I go, hey, that castle we built, I peed in it.
It would have been funny if I would have been like, actually, I peed in it too. And we just didn't know whose pee it was. That was
What if we were just both holding it in, and then we just built the castle, and then like we didn't want to be the first one
we
to tell?
both stand up and there are puddles underneath us.
What's it called? My story for my Reddit story. It also has to do with pee. Dang, we're like our stories are matching on this.
I know.
one.
That's
And this was not planned out. We didn't tell each other our stories, but my story is also has to do with I peed in a hospital bed after surgery, and then I got a boner and cried in front of nurses. That's what I'm going to call it. So I like how our Reddit stories kind of match. They're both about pee, and our actual
yeah, it's crazy, right?
our actual personal stories were also about nature. And we didn't even plan this out. It was just like perfectly matching timing.
It's meant to be, Andy.
It's meant to be. It's meant to pee.
Meant to be.
All right, so my story is I peed in the hospital bed after surgery. That's the title. And there's a lot more than just him peeing his bed. Let me tell the story. I had my first surgery ever this past Wednesday. I am 28 years old. So going in was already super scary. When I woke up from the anesthesia, I was in pain and I was very dizzy, and I could barely move. I couldn't really breathe because the surgery was on my nose and my sinuses. When I gathered myself, I realized the bed was super wet. It was wet from my knees to my chest. I looked over and noticed a nurse watching me to make sure I was okay. She was also giving me some water with ice. She didn't notice the bed was wet because I was bundled in like 4 blankets. Dude, he must be hot too, first of all. She leaves to get me more water. He doesn't need more water, by the way. She leaves to get me more water, and I'm thinking, how do I tell her about the wet bed? 1, because I'm still confused as to why my bed is wet. 2, I can barely talk because my throat is sore from the breathing tube. She comes back, and I drink more water. Then I doze off. I don't really know what happened or how much time passed.
He slept in his pee.
He didn't even say anything.
Oh, no.
What would you say?
My bed's wet.
Well, he doesn't know it's pee.
Oh, okay.
He thinks it's wet. He doesn't specifically say it's pee yet.
Okay.
So he goes back to bed with it super wet. He could have thought he was sweaty,
Yeah.
because he's 4 blankets. So anyways, going forward, next thing I know, the nurse brings a wheelchair and says, "I am sure you need to use the bathroom, so let's do that, and we'll get you changed to go home." At this point, I have tears rolling down my face and tell her in the saddest, most embarrassed voice ever, "I think I peed the bed." She says, "Let me check." She checks, then says, "You did pee the bed, sweetie, and I am sorry. It's okay. Let's get you cleaned up." She leaves and comes back with 2 other nurses. They take off my gown and my underwear. Then they sit me up, and the nurse starts wiping me down with sponges and towels. They are doing this, and I am literally crying and saying, "I am so sorry." And they go, "It's okay. Don't worry. It happens. It's just an accident." As they are wiping me down, I randomly get a boner. I have no idea because the rest of my body doesn't work. Yes, I am still crying with the boner, saying I'm sorry. And they continue to say, "Don't worry, accidents happen." They put me down at the foot of the bed, And the nurse tells me she is going to put a disposable brief, aka a diaper, on me and get me dressed. After I am dressed, they sit me in the wheelchair, change my bed, then put me back on the bed and cover me with new blankets. My nurse then lets me know my soiled undies are in a sealed bag with the rest of my belongings. At this point, I want to crawl in a hole and die.
Then he pees again.
Then he pees again. No, I'm just kidding. It's not over, but what do you think so far?
I would be horrified because I mean, even in massage therapy appointments or whatever that I have, I always worry about
Wet the bed?
Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm always worried about wetting the bed.
I doze off again, and the next thing I know, my nurse wakes me up and lets me know she called my girlfriend and informed her of what happened, and they let her know that I'm ready to be picked up. At this point, I want to die even more. So they told his girlfriend everything that happened. My girlfriend used to be a medical tech, and she tells me it is not uncommon for these things to happen. She's trying to make me feel better.
Yeah.
But I still feel super embarrassed because I am a 28-year-old healthy male who peed the bed, cried like a baby in front of 3 female nurses, then got a boner as they were cleaning me, and I left the hospital in a diaper. The thing is, I am his age, and like I would be mortified if this happened to me. Honestly.
Mortified. That's the one.
That's the word. You mortified?
Yeah.
I would be mortified if that happened. I don't even know how I would react. Like I don't get embarrassed that much, but I think I would be so embarrassed if this happened to me. He has every right to be embarrassed.
Yeah. I don't remember if you said, but what was he in the hospital for?
They were doing surgery on his throat. No, sinuses. Sorry, nose and sinuses.
I feel like I would have done whatever I could to clean myself off. I don't know.
Well, he said he couldn't move his body for some reason. The anesthesia was really hard on him.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the anesthesia was really hard on him.
That part too.
yeah. I would have like, I don't know what I would have done, to be completely honest. I think I would have like just like faked like thrown myself off the floor. Like, all right, it didn't kill me yet. Let me try it one more time. Jump off the bed one more time. Go for the head. Like just they find
kill me now.
They find a dead body with a boner. That'd be me.
We're talking about pee.
Have you ever wet the bed as an adult? Past 18 years old?
No.
Neither have I.
Yeah.
I think I was 9. My mom used to dress us up in overalls, like the blue one, the jean overalls with like the little clippy thingies.
Yeah.
Right? And those are really hard to take off as a 9-year-old.
You're like, I can't get it off.
I remember I was like, it was on our way back from Sonic. And I really had to use the restroom. And it was like maybe 7 p.m. Like it was late. And my family were going to Sonic. And I told my mom I have to use the restroom. And like we're running back to the house for me to use the restroom. I'm a little kid. And I'm trying to like get to the restroom. I finally get to the restroom and I'm in the restroom. Door's still open because I don't even care. I just got to use the restroom. I don't care who sees. And I'm struggling. I made it all the way from Sonic, by the way. And I had to pee really bad at Sonic.
Yeah.
And like I made it all the way back and like we're right there. You know when you get to the restroom, your pee intensifies. Like you have to pee even more as soon as you get in the restroom vicinity.
You get in the mentality.
The minute you're in the vicinity of a restroom or a toilet, you have to pee even more. So I'm in the restroom and I'm like doing the dance, trying to get I can't do it. I'm like, I can't do it. And I'm like calling for my mom, like, Ma! And I'm like struggling with the little pin. And then it just comes out. And my mom came and helped me, but it was too late.
I can just imagine Susan starts coming out, just like the hopelessness. Just like, and it's just going. And you're just standing.
And that's the last time I wore those overalls as a kid.
Yeah.
All right, Kyle. So that was a pretty embarrassing story for me to tell, but I was a kid, so leave me alone. And we're ready to wrap it up, Kyle.
Yeah, let's do.
Righty. So we hope you enjoyed the podcast. Kyle, tell the people where they can leave us their stories.
You can leave us a story at Instagram, TikTok, YouTube,
any social media that you can find on us on.
Yeah, pretty much anything.
I'm trying to do them all. So leave us a message, leave us your story, and we would love to read it. Kyle, what do you think of the stories today?
Yeah, I think they're great.
We matched up perfectly without even planning it, which we should probably do. But I think these stories were really well aligned with each other. We told peace stories, we told nature stories, and where we just failed epically today. This is a really big failure on all of our parts today.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. You guys have a great day. Peace.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. ASMR.